Big data technology is going to be one of the most exciting things in the 21st century. Now the computer can do just about anything, and who knows what it will do in the future. But we can gather enormous amounts of data and process and figure out what it means. I mean, you and I could sit and take years to process all the data, and even then we might not know what it means. But the computer can do it all, can chop through it all, analyze it, and figure out what it means, which is, judgment is very, very difficult. And the computer will probably have better ways to judge and analyze all the data than you and I would. Computers are magic. Doesn't mean there won't be problems, they won't make mistakes along the way, but everybody makes mistakes. So this is an enormous change in the history of the world, and it's going to make everything different. Well, petroleum certainly became extremely important in the 20th century, there's no question. People didn't have oil 500 years, well, the way we're talking about. They had whale oil and things like that, but no. Petroleum certainly came along and changed everything we know. Well, big data is going to change everything we know too. Computer technology has already changed everything we know, but it's just getting started. There are going to be enormous changes as you and I go along. It's going to put a lot of people out of business, but Eileen, electricity put a lot of people out of business too. We're not going to close down electricity because it put a lot of people out of business, because it opened up many new opportunities, and so will big data. You got to have capital. Even Karl Marx, the name of his book was Das Kapital. Marx knew you had to have capital to build an economy, to build a society. I mean, he had it wrong about how to do it, but still, even he knew how important capital was, and you've got to have capital, whether we like it or not. You also have to have somebody to do it, to actually, if you will need to plow a field, you got to have somebody to tell the plow what to do. Somebody has to be helping make decisions and process these things. That's been the history of the world. I mean, labor's always changed. 100 years ago, 150 years ago, in America, nearly everybody was in agriculture. Now, very, very few people are in agriculture, but we're still producing huge amounts of food in the US, just to use that as an example of how it's changed. And that will continue to change with big data, with artificial intelligence as well. And that is what we still need. Capital, we still need labor, we still need somebody to figure it all out. And there will be new opportunities. I don't know what all they are now, but don't worry, you'll get a job. OOWAY is a phenomenal concept. We've been talking about digitalization and how the world is changing, and artificial intelligence and the rest of it. OOWAY, it used to be you just looked at financial statements and you hoped to get it right. And many people didn't, and other people learned how to manipulate finance. But OOWAY has taken a whole different approach. They're analyzing, because of big data, because of artificial intelligence, they're analyzing everything, getting all the transactions together, and hopefully, and so far so good, they can analyze what's happening, and you can figure out where there may be problems that we would not have seen before. And you'll see them before the financial statements even come out. It used to be I had to wait for a financial statement to come once a year or whatever it came, and then you'd have to pour through it. Well, by then it's probably too late in some cases. But OOWAY has figured out a way to figure out all this, before the financial statements come out, based on gigantic amounts of data, who's doing what with whom. And I mean, it's fantastic. But again, this is the way the world's always been. 100 years ago, it would have been inconceivable to get financial statements in such a quick way. Now we get our financial statements, sooner than we would have, but they're already out of date in many cases. You know, there are companies always that are perpetrating fraud or that have bad credit. Sometimes they don't even know they have bad credit. In America, we have a president named Donald Trump. I can remember once, he had no idea he was bankrupt. But, you know, some of us could see that the guy was bankrupt. He was over, but he didn't even know it himself because he couldn't get the data soon enough. But that's the way the world works. But now OOWAY has come up with ways to analyze everything that's going on, to gather everything that's going on, and then to analyze it and figure out where there might be problems. I mean, if I met you on the street and you said, let's do business together, I would, who is she, what, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you're fabulous, you're obviously smart, et cetera, but how do I know? I don't know anything about you, but OOWAY, I can go to OOWAY and they'll say, yeah, you know, she's very smart. Everything she does is okay. We can see who she deals with, how she deals. We can see her history, her patterns. So yeah, why don't you do business with her? But that's instant. It used to take us years to know with whom we could do business, who was reliable, who was trustworthy. But now we will know much faster, much sooner. It would have taken me a long time to figure out who you were, do business with you, get a history, get experience. But now, OOWAY will tell me almost instantly everything I need to know about you. And you don't even have to tell them. They will find a lot of it on their own. Just because there's so much data out there, if you know how to find it and know what to do with it. So if I meet you on the street and you want to do business, I'll ask OOWAY. Well, if OOWAY can continue to do what it's doing, it's a bonanza. It's going to be phenomenal. Now, how do I know whether they can do it? We think we can. It looks like we can, but who knows? You can ask me in 3 to 5 years. But if we do what we say we're going to do, if we do what we have been doing, it's going to be a bonanza, not just for shareholders in the company, but for the world. No, this is one of those things that comes along and makes a huge change in the way the world works, but it also brings prosperity and efficiency to a lot of people, but also to the people involved with OOWAY.